Thank you, ma'am. And just a reminder, you're still under oath, okay?
Of course, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, your question?
Amber, just to orient you and the jury, at this time, we're in the rebuttal to your counterclaim against Mr. Depp. So I'm going to confine my questions to that, okay?
All right.
How have you suffered publicly as a result of the Depp-Waldman statements?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
I am harassed, humiliated, threatened every single day. Even just walking into this courtroom, sitting here in front of the world, having the worst parts of my life, things that I've lived through, used to humiliate me. People want to kill me, and they tell me so every day. People want to put my baby in the microwave, and they tell me that. Johnny threatened, promised me that if I ever left him, he'd make me think of him every single day that I lived.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
All right, I'll sustain the objection as to that. If you want to ask the question.
Amber, how did Mr. Depp's statements and threats to you that you were discussing, how do those continue to manifest themselves today?
In the harassment, in the humiliation, the campaign against me that's echoed every single day on social media and now in front of cameras in this room. Every single day I have to relive the trauma. My hands shake, I wake up screaming. I have to live with the trauma and the damage done to me. My friends have to live with a set of unspoken rules about how to not scare me.
Objection, hearsay.
Yes, sir.
Unspoken rules
Overruled. Go ahead.
about how to not touch me, not to surprise me. My intimate partners have rules about how they can deal with me, how they can touch me. I have rules for doctors and medical professionals I see, gynecologists I see. I live my life with these sets of rules that I have to follow, my friends have to follow for me not to have a panic attack or a triggering event where I relive the trauma. Even if I'm training to do my movie, for instance, if I'm training for Aquaman, a combat scene and a trigger happens, I have a meltdown and have to deal with that. The crew I work with have to deal with that because of the damage I walk around with every single day from what I've lived through, from what I've survived. I'm not sitting in this courtroom snickering. I'm not sitting in this courtroom laughing, smiling, and making snide jokes. I'm not. This is horrible. This is painful. And this is humiliating for any human being to go through. And perhaps it's easy to forget that, but I'm a human being. And even though Johnny promised that I deserve this and promised he'd do this, I don't deserve this. I want to move on. Those statements, the attacks on me, the campaign, that Johnny has elicited millions of people to do on his behalf when he himself
Objection, Your Honor,
couldn't do
lack of
it.
foundation.
Torture me.
Speculation.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Amber, how have the Depp-Waldman statements impacted your ability to do charitable work?
You know, the only reason that people like Dr. Curry can sit up here on the stand and say I'm high functioning and I do things like have hobbies and have interests is
Objection,
because I'm not.
non-responsive.
Your Honor, Mr. Depp gave long-winded responses yesterday.
Overruled. Go ahead.
It's because I found a solution to that pain. I woke up every morning with panic attacks and trauma until I realized I could do something with it. So to answer your question, Ben, I was able to turn the things that I've lived through, my pain, my life experiences, into work, into action, into providing a voice for other people. I'm not a saint. I'm not trying to present myself as one, as you all know, but I selfishly found relief in being able to use what I've lived through to advocate for others, to bring light to these issues, to give a voice to people who don't have the voice and the platform that I have. And while I would not wish this situation on my worst enemy, if it gives a voice to someone who doesn't have it. But I now, as I stand here today, can't have a career. I can't even have people associate with me because of the threats and the attacks that they have to endure.
Objection, non-responsive.
And I can't do my charity work.
Sustain the objection.
Amber, other than the threats that you've described, what other threats have you endured since the Depp Waldman statements were made?
I receive hundreds of death threats regularly, if not daily. Thousands since this trial has started. People mocking my testimony about being assaulted, making fun of my...
Objection, relevance, non-responsive.
Goes to damages. You can continue.
It's been agonizing, painful, and the most humiliating thing I've ever had to go through. I hope no one ever has to go through something like this. I just want Johnny to leave me alone. I just want him to leave me alone. I've said that for years now, and I thought he would after 2020.
Objection, non-responsive.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
What do you hope to reclaim after this is over?
Protecting the secret that I did for as long as I did has taken enough of my voice. Johnny has taken enough of my voice. I have the right to tell my story. I have the right to say what happened to me. I have the right to my voice and my name. He took it long enough. I have a right as an American to talk about what happened to me, to own my story and my truth. I have that right. I hope to get my voice back. It's all I want. And I've said that from day one.
Thank you, Amber. I don't have anything else.
All right, cross-examination.
Wow, that right there might have been the most powerful, poignant testimony we've heard from Amber Heard throughout this trial. We're going to step aside for a break, hitting that pause button as you saw. We'll see the cross-examination on the other side. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Amber Heard has returned to the witness stand when her team has a chance to do their rebuttal to the Depp rebuttal. So legally, the term "Sir rebuttal" you may hear thrown out there. So this is her response. And if you're just now joining us, when she was asked how she has suffered publicly, she said she is harassed, humiliated, and threatened every single day, telling the jury about how it happens when she goes to and from the courthouse for this trial, saying this has been the most humiliating thing she's ever had to gone through, waking up screaming, shaking, and suffering because of what she says was domestic violence at the hands of her former spouse, Johnny Depp. Before we hear the cross-examination, I'm going to bring in my guest on the program. She has experience as a former prosecutor. She practices criminal defense work in New York City. She also has expertise in the area of domestic violence and is a registered nurse. Marie Pereira on the show. Marie, what did you think of her testimony on direct there, please?
I think what they're doing is what you've always said. At the end, it's primacy and recency. They want to put her out there in her best light. They want to humanize her, and she did a good job at it. However, this is a court of law. I am a domestic violence victim advocate. I don't have a side here. But even domestic violence victims need to prove allegations. And I don't think it's victim shaming to require that Amber Heard prove that she is a victim of domestic violence. She raised the issue in the op-ed. So therefore, it's not wrong to require her to prove it. There are two sides to every story. And for me, even with this humanizing statement that she's giving on the stand, very touching, talking about how it impacts her daughter. There are hateful people out there saying, put her baby in a microwave. That's horrible. No one needs to go through that.
Right.
However, this is a court of law, and if she's making these allegations, she has to prove them.
Right, and if the jury believes only one instance, only one of domestic violence, then Johnny Depp's claim would fail, because then it would make what she wrote in the op-ed true. Marie Pereira, always great to get your insight. I want to ask you about the cross after we see some of it. We're going to go back in now at the very beginning of the cross. It is Johnny Depp's attorney, Camille Vasquez, who's going to be questioning her.
Ms. Heard, you just testified that this case has been very hard for you. So let's talk about that and why.
All right.
Your lies have been exposed to the world multiple times, right?
I haven't lied about anything I've been here to say.
You sat here and told this jury that the events in Hicksville started with Mr. Depp getting really upset about a woman leaning on you. Is that correct?
Yes, that's effectively what happened, yeah.
You testified that he actually grabbed that woman's wrist and twisted it, right?
And told her that he could effectively break her wrist by saying he knew how many pounds of pressure, or asking her how many pounds of pressure it took to break a human wrist.
But your own witness, your former best friend, Rocky Pennington, she didn't corroborate that, did she?
I'm not quite sure what part of that night she saw. There were a lot of people there.
She didn't testify that Mr. Depp grabbed anyone's wrist in Hicksville.
Again, I don't know what Rocky saw. There were a lot of people there that night.
You testified that once you brought Mr. Depp back to your trailer, he trashed it, correct?
That is correct.
And the manager of the Hicksville trailer park was furious that Johnny had wrecked the whole thing. Do you remember that testimony?
That's correct.
Well, we heard from that manager of the Hicksville trailer park, Morgan Knight, on Monday, didn't we?
I'm not quite sure who that guy was or if he had any involvement in this. I know a lot of people have come out of the woodwork to be involved.
So you're accusing Mr. Knight of testifying and committing perjury?
I'm not accusing anyone. I just don't recognize that man.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that it was actually you who was upset with Mr. Depp spending time away from him. Isn't that correct?
How would he know? He wasn't there.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that it was actually you who was yelling at Mr. Depp.
Again, I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things to be involved in the Johnny Depp show, but he wasn't there. He doesn't know. And he certainly doesn't know what happened behind closed doors, like most people.
So you're calling Mr. Knight a liar?
I am saying he wasn't there, and what he testified to doesn't match what I know happened. But I don't fault him. He wasn't there, so how would he know?
He testified he was there, Ms. Heard. Did you hear that?
That's his testimony, yes.
So you're calling him a liar?
I'm just saying he wasn't there.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that the trailer wasn't trashed, and that's why you're calling him a liar.
He testified that a light fixture was broken, similar to the way that
Yes,
Johnny's
other than a light
employees
fixture, that was
testified
the
to
only
my
thing that was
closet being
broken, right, Ms.
rearranged
Heard?
and things
Ms.
like
Heard,
that.
the only thing that was broken in the trailer, according to Mr. Knight, was a light fixture. Yes or no?
I realized that he summed it up by saying a light fixture was broken, just the way his security guard summed up him trashing my closet as being rearranged.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to strike everything after he summed it up, that it was a light fixture, as non-responsive.
She answered the question, Your Honor.
Overruled.
And the security guard testimony, Your Honor?
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Mr. Knight also testified that he charged Mr. Depp only $62 for the damaged light fixture. You heard that, correct?
I did.
In Hicksville, you were the only one that was jealous that Mr. Depp was spending time from other people. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
That is incorrect.
In Hicksville, you were the one who was upset that Mr. Depp wasn't giving you enough attention.
Incorrect again.
Ms. Heard, you told this jury that you had no idea the press was going to be at the courthouse when you got your TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I said I did not have anything to do with it. Yes.
No. My question again. You told this jury that you had no idea that the press was going to be outside after you got the ex-party TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I apologize. I must have misunderstood Ms. Vasquez. I actually had no idea whether they were going to be there or not. When I walked into the courtroom that day, it was completely quiet, still, empty. Even though I had given Johnny's team notice that I was filing a
Objection.
TRO,
Your Honor, this is not
we had no
responsive.
reason to
Move to
believe the
strike.
press knew.
And Your Honor, I would also ask that you instruct the witness to please stop talking once I lodge an objection.
Your Honor, she's trying to answer the question as best she can, and Ms. Vasquez is misrepresenting to her what she testified to.
Well, I'll strike the last part as non-responsive.
Thank you,
Just if you could just answer the questions asked, okay? Thank you, Ms. Heard.
In fact, you testified that you were, quote, shocked when you saw press when you were leaving the courthouse. Yes?
Yes.
You weren't shocked at all, though, were you?
Incorrect. It was
You knew the press
horrifying.
would be at the courthouse, right, Ms. Heard?
No.
Well, you did bring your publicist to the courthouse with you on May 27th, 2016, didn't you?
I sure did. I'm a public figure. I brought my publicist in case it blew up. In case. And
You
I'm
actually
glad
had
I did.
alerted TMZ that you would be filing a TRO against Mr. Depp that very day,
No, I did
didn't
not.
you?
No, I did
The
not.
one day you didn't bother to wear makeup to cover up the mark on your face.
I did not call TMZ or any other news source or paparazzi source. No one.
Well,
I
we
never
heard
did that.
testimony from former TMZ employee Morgan Tremaine yesterday, correct?
Did I hear his testimony?
Yes.
Yes, I was here.
Yes. And you heard Mr. Tremaine's testimony that he knew to dispatch the paparazzi to the courthouse on May 27th, right?
I heard him say that he knew that, yes.
Yeah, and that he dispatched paparazzi to the courthouse to capture a picture of an alleged bruise on the right side of your face. Do you remember him saying that?
I remember him saying that.
That information must have come from your team, right, Ms. Heard?
Absolutely not. Why would I want that? What actual survivor of domestic violence wants that?
Now, the video of Mr. Depp beating up some kitchen cabinets, you admit that you took that video, correct?
Yes, I did.
All right. And you acknowledge that the video was released online the day before you were deposed in connection with your divorce from Mr. Depp in August of 2016, right?
I believe it was, yes.
But you testified that you had absolutely nothing to do with the video's release, right?
Absolutely not.
And you testified that you learned about it when you landed after flying into LA. Do you remember that testimony?
Upon touchdown is when I was alerted to the video's
You
existence
heard Mr.
online.
Tremaine testify about this video as well yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you heard Mr. Tremaine testify that TMZ received the cabinet video the same day you landed at LAX. Yes?
I don't know if that's what his testimony was. I'm sorry.
You heard Mr. Tremaine testify that the cabinet video was posted 15 minutes after TMZ received it. Yes?
That's what I heard him say.
And that this could only have been possible if the video was received directly from the source. Yes?
I heard him say that. I don't know if that's true or if that's possible because
And
it
you
didn't come
heard
from me. I was
Mr.
flying.
Tremaine
So
testify.
I know that's incorrect, is what I mean to say.
Another liar on the stand.
I just know that that's incorrect.
Right. And you heard Mr. Tremaine testify that TMZ owns the copyright to the cabinet video, right?
That's news to me.
The cabinet video you filmed of your then husband. Yes?
The copyright ownership of that is news to me. I learned that yesterday.
It's the cabinet video.
All right, we're gonna hit the pause button right here. I want to bring in my guest and see what she thinks of this cross-examination. Marie Pereira, go.
I feel like it's a little too aggressive. It's getting too girly. It's like they hate each other, and that shouldn't be. I think Camille needs to calm down, let the woman speak, because the more she speaks, the more she digs a hole for herself. She's saying, I'm not a saint, I'm a person. I didn't know TMZ was coming. So how did TMZ know that she was gonna be there? I'm a victim advocate. I helped to draft orders of protection for it to be presented to a judge.
That's awesome.
When these clients come in, it's private. Nobody knows they're coming. So she had to know they were coming. For her to deny that makes her look disingenuous, and that's the most recent thing They're going to remember.
Primacy and recency, my friend. Marie Pereira, great to have you on with us. Thank you so much for sharing all of your insight today. We're going to be right back with more Court TV Live after this.